Well, once again, our old friend Dr. Fauci gives us another example of do what I say, not what I do. You can never trust from day to day what comes out of Dr. Fauci's mouth because it's constantly changing. And I said very early on that number one, the president needed to cut him loose. He was a Vice President Pence pick to serve on the Corona task force. It was very obvious that he would just play to whatever audience he thought that he could gain the most personal traction and people hanging on the word of Dr. Fauci, and even at times trying to somehow show that he and the president weren't exactly eye to eye. Yet the president, very early on, did exactly what Dr. Fauci advised. And it wasn't until the president broke away from Dr. Fauci and really got the Operation Warp Speed going that we got things like Shazam, Batman, vaccines have arrived. Fauci told us it would be at least 2 years, and at first we didn't need masks, and now we need masks, and now we need goggles and hazmat suits, and we need to lock down. We don't need to lock down. We can vote safely, but you can't have Thanksgiving, and it's all over the place. Well, Breitbart News has reported on Dr. Fauci's latest recommendations. Dr. Anthony Fauci expressed concerns on Thursday about an independent society trying to fight the coronavirus, arguing Americans should listen to public health officials. Bum, ba-dum, bum. He went on to say, each of our countries has an independent spirit where we don't like to be told what to do. While I understand that, now is not the time to do that. Now is the time to do what you're told. This was an address given by Dr. Fauci at the National Cathedral's 2020 Ignatius Forum about facing a second wave of the virus in the fall and in the winter. So, you will do what you're told. Now, Fauci at the Washington Nationals baseball game, he wasn't wearing a mask, but he didn't have to because he was just drinking water. That's all he was doing. He was just drinking water.
I think this is sort of mischievous with this thing going around. I had my mask around my chin. I had taken it down. I was totally dehydrated, and I was drinking water, trying to rehydrate myself. And by the way, I was negative COVID literally the day before. So I guess people want to make a big of that. I wear a mask all the time when I'm outside to pull it down, to take some sips of water and put it back up again. I guess if people want to make something about that, they can.
But here he's seen just sitting there laughing and talking, and he's not drinking water. Fauci said that there would continue to be a core of people who would never vaccinate. And he said that would be problematic if up to 50% of Americans refused to take the coronavirus vaccine, which would allow the virus to spread. Really? Explain to me how that works, because if you're vaccinated and I'm not, how does my not being vaccinated affect you? Well, it'll spread. To who? Well, other non-vaccinated people. Well, isn't that our risk to take? I'm sure the vast majority of Americans are going to get the virus. And I'll have more to say about that in another monologue regarding the president's address from the Rose Garden. But what is the big deal if I don't take it? But of course, you know, they're going to put this in a way where it's compulsory but non-compulsory. In other words, well, no, you don't have to get it, but you won't be able to fly on a plane unless you can prove you've had it. You won't be able to get a job. You won't be able. There will be so many things that you won't be allowed to do. They're going to force you to get it while saying it's voluntary. But you should be very bothered by Dr. Fauci actually saying we have to get rid of this independent spirit. Just do what you're told. If you think this pandemic is about a virus, and again, we're talking about it's spiking, it's going up. It is going up because this is how viruses work. First phase comes through, it's incredibly contagious. People do get sick. People in risk categories can become susceptible to death. That is tragic. My heart goes out to families that are dealing with loss. But the way a virus works is when it makes its second wave through, it spreads even faster. More and more people are going to get it. But it becomes less and less lethal. Less than 2% of people who contract the serious form of coronavirus will die. That's not being talked about. Well, hospitalizations are up. Hospitalizations are up because of coronavirus or people who are in the hospital. We are now finding, because you have to be tested once you're there, have the virus. Were they necessarily admitted with the virus? Were they admitted for all kinds of other things? And now because they've tested positive for the virus, we are now listing the cases in the hospital as going up. You know, like they did back in the spring when no matter what you died from, if you had coronavirus in your system, you were dying from coronavirus. It's really sad about Bill. He got run over by a tractor trailer. It's too bad he died of corona. I mean, those were the kind of jokes that were coming out, and they were real. Because somebody in our government thought it would be a great idea to reimburse states on a tiered system. Well, you're going to get so much money for the number of people in your state that have coronavirus. Well, you're going to get so much money for those in your state that have coronavirus and are hospitalized. And you're going to get so much money for people in your state that had coronavirus and they died. So all of a sudden it became profitable. So now that hospitals have suffered economically, because remember, they went months and months where they couldn't do regular procedures, they couldn't do normal operations because we had to keep the hospitals open for this wave of coronavirus patients, which never materialized. And that was at the direction of Dr. Fauci. It never happened. The president sent hospital ships to New York City and had temporary hospitals erected in Central Park, and not one bed was ever used. The media lied. They showed us pictures of overflowing wards in European hospitals and tried to convince us it was America, but that never materialized. So now they're telling us there's more and more people in the hospitals. Is that because the hospitals are trying to make up revenue that they lost? And once you get there, you might be there to have your tonsils out, but they swab you. Oh, your test came back positive. I'm going to tell you something. Most of the people right now have either had it, didn't know they had it, or they've got it and have no idea they've got it because they don't have any symptoms. This is the second wave, and you know what it's designed to do, boys and girls? Bring about the real cure, the real inoculation to it. Herd immunity. But see, Dr. Fauci doesn't want you to think that way. That's independent thinking, and that's dangerous. That's why, you know, it's funny. For years, we tell people, if you don't like what your doctor has to say, get a second opinion. Don't make a major decision about having a major portion of your body removed, an amputation. Get another opinion. Find out what another doctor has to say about your cancer, your heart condition, or fill in the blank. I got a second opinion when I was diagnosed with diabetes. And I was told that was it. I was going to spend the rest of my life on medication, and probably within about 10 years, I would be taking insulin. Wait, what? This was the same doctor that a few months prior to that, told me my blood sugar that day was 119. I had no idea that was high. I didn't know anything about blood sugar. Never told me at that point I was diabetic or pre-diabetic. Didn't say a word. 3 months later, I come back because I was just not, I knew things weren't right. Something was off. And they did another check, and my blood sugar was over 350, and they said, that's it, you've got diabetes. And I'm telling you, I felt my world collapsing because I knew how serious diabetes can actually get. But then I started doing independent research, and I found all kinds of doctors online that say, no. Diabetes is created, if it's type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is created by poor choices, bad diets. So I got educated, I got smart, and I found out I'd actually been pre-diabetic for months. The doctor knew it, never said a word. So when I went back for my next appointment, because they wanted to, up the prescriptions and this and that. And by the way, the prescription they gave me, I had to start wearing glasses all the time. I really only wear these to read because I'm reading. That's why these are on. And by the way, this is the lowest grade lens you can buy. It's like one step above clear plastic. It's really, I have pretty good vision. But I mean, I couldn't read anything. I couldn't even read the license plate on my car. My wife said that I was toxin from the medication. She pumped this stuff down me to help me detox, and within 3 or 4 days, my vision came back perfect. So I said to that doctor, why didn't you tell me? Well, we got to get you on a plan. And then they wanted to give me other medication to deal with. Well, you're going to have this effect from this medication, so now we got to put you on that. No. And I found a wellness doctor, and I take nothing. I dropped 100 pounds. My A1C is right at about 4.5 to 5. Just checked my blood sugar a little while ago. It's about 80. I got a second opinion. Why are we not allowed to hear other opinions besides Dr. Fauci and the improved narrative on COVID? I'll tell you exactly why. And Fauci said it. This is not the time for you to think. This is not the time for you to be independent. This is the time for you to do what you're told. This pandemic is being used as a way to line you up into compliance. It was to crash an economy, to hopefully bring in a socialist type of government under a Joe Biden administration, so that you would become 100% dependent upon the government, the state, for everything. And there you have it. Hey, that's it for this little rant. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you give us a like by giving us a click on the thumbs up. Share this to your social media platforms. Smack the bell and click the word all to get notification of my next rant.